The conference room deep inside the Vorgath Empire's command station was dark, except for the holographic display floating above the central table. High Commander Zarthik stood with his forearms crossed behind his back, staring at the image of a human male with brown hair and a worn smile. The photograph had been taken 3 months ago at a trading post near the border worlds. "Jack Morrison," Zarthik said, his voice a low rumble that made the junior officers around the table shift nervously. "A simple cargo hauler, a nobody. And yet this nobody has cost us 17 supply shipments, disrupted operations in 6 sectors, and made the Empire look weak in front of the rebellious colonies." One of the officers, a younger Vorgath named Krell, raised a clawed hand. "Commander, our patrols have attempted to intercept his ship multiple times. The human is skilled at evasion. Perhaps we should increase the reward for his capture." Zarthik turned his massive head toward Krell. His 4 eyes narrowed. "Increase the reward? You think money will solve this problem? No, this human has become a symbol to the rebels. They sing songs about him in the underground colonies. They paint his ship on their walls. He makes the Empire look foolish, and that cannot continue." The holographic display changed to show Morrison's ship, the Wandering Star. It was an old freighter, scarred and patched, nothing impressive to look at. But according to intelligence reports, that ship had outrun Imperial cruisers, slipped through blockades, and delivered enough medical supplies and equipment to keep 3 rebel colonies functioning for months. "The rebels call him the Ghost Runner," another officer said quietly. "They say he can disappear into space itself." "Superstitious nonsense," Zarthik snapped. "He is flesh and blood, just like any other creature. And flesh can be cut, blood can be spilled." He pressed a button on the table's control panel. "Bring them in." The doors to the conference room slid open with a hiss. 12 figures walked into the room in perfect formation. They wore black armor that seemed to absorb the light around it, and their faces were hidden behind helmets with red visors. The Crimson 12, the Empire's most elite assassination unit. The leader of the squad stopped in front of Zarthik and gave a sharp salute. Her voice came through the helmet speaker, cold and precise. "High Commander, you summoned the Crimson 12. Vex Mora," Zarthik acknowledged. "I have a mission for your squad. A priority target, maximum importance." Vex Mora tilted her head slightly. "Show us the target." The holographic display zoomed in on Jack Morrison's face. Vexamora studied it for a long moment, then turned back to Zarthik. "This is a human, one of the newer species in this sector. What has he done to warrant our attention?" "He has embarrassed the Empire," Zarthik said simply. "He runs supplies to rebel colonies. He evades our ships. He makes us look incompetent. The Emperor himself has taken notice. This human must be eliminated, and it must send a message. No one defies the Vorgath Empire and lives." One of the other assassins, a tall figure with broader shoulders than the rest, spoke up. "Where is the target now?" "Intelligence has tracked his ship to the Kepler 442 system. There is a small moon there with a supply depot. Our sources indicate Morrison will be there for the next 48 hours, resupplying and performing maintenance on his ship. He has sent his crew away for shore leave. He will be alone." Vexamora processed this information. "Alone? That seems too convenient." "Perhaps he believes he is safe," Zarthik suggested. "Or perhaps he is simply arrogant. Either way, it is an opportunity. Your stealth ship, the Silent Fang, can reach the system in 36 hours. You will board his vessel, eliminate the target, and return with proof of the kill. Leave the body in a public location. Let the rebels see what happens to those who defy us." The leader of the Crimson 12 was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. "It will be done. The human will not see the next sunrise wherever he runs to." "Good," Zarthik said. "The Empire is counting on you. Do not fail." The 12 assassins turned in unison and marched out of the conference room. Zarthik watched them go, then turned back to the holographic display showing Jack Morrison's ship. A small smile crossed his reptilian features. Soon this problem would be solved. Soon, the rebels would learn that no one, not even their beloved Ghost Runner, could escape the Empire's reach. Across the galaxy on the moon of Kepler 442, Jack Morrison sat in the captain's chair of the Wandering Star and rubbed his tired eyes. He had been running cargo for 16 hours straight, and his body was feeling every minute of it. The chair was old and comfortable, molded to his shape after years of use. Around him, the ship's bridge hummed with the familiar sounds of active systems and recycling air. He looked out the forward viewport at the rocky surface of the moon below. The supply depot was a small cluster of buildings connected by pressurized tunnels. It was not much to look at, but it was neutral territory, a place where smugglers and traders could do business without imperial interference. Or at least that was how it used to be. Jack reached for the coffee mug on the armrest and took a long sip. The coffee was cold and bitter, but he did not care. He was thinking about his next move. The rebels in the Deneb sector needed antibiotics and food synthesizers. The Empire's blockade was starving them slowly, and people were dying from simple infections that should have been easy to treat. He had promised Linda Hayes, the leader of the main rebel colony, that he would get the supplies through. Linda was a good person, a former Empire administrator who had seen the cruelty of the system from the inside and could not stay silent anymore. She had 3 kids. She deserved better than to watch them suffer because the Empire wanted to control every aspect of their lives. Jack's console beeped, pulling him from his thoughts. He leaned forward and checked the sensor readout. It was routine traffic, a small transport leaving the depot. Nothing unusual. He sat back and closed his eyes for just a moment. His mind drifted to his crew. Katie Russell, his co-pilot and engineer, was probably drinking at some bar on the station in the next system over. Danny Martinez, the young cargo handler he had picked up 6 months ago, was visiting his family on Earth. They deserved the break. This life was hard, always running, always looking over your shoulder, never knowing if the next jump would be your last. But someone had to do it. Someone had to stand up to the Empire and say enough. Someone had to help the people who could not help themselves. Jack had lost his brother to the Empire's labor camps 5 years ago. Carl Morrison had been a good man, a farmer who refused to give up his land when the Empire wanted to build a military base. They had arrested him on false charges, and he died in custody 3 months later. Jack opened his eyes and stared at the moon's surface. He was not a soldier. He was not a hero. He was just a cargo hauler who knew how to fly a ship and how to stay one step ahead of trouble. But if that was enough to make a difference, then he would keep doing it until they caught him or he ran out of luck. The console beeped again. This time, the sensor reading made him sit up straight. A ship had just entered the system, moving fast and running dark. No identification signal, no transponder. It was heading straight for his position. Jack's heart rate picked up. He knew what that meant. The Empire had finally decided to stop chasing him and start hunting him. He reached for the communications panel and opened a channel to the supply depot. "This is the Wandering Star to depot control. I have an unidentified vessel approaching, requesting immediate clearance for emergency departure." The response came back 30 seconds later, crackling with static. "Wandering Star, we show the same contact. We cannot offer protection. Suggest you depart immediately." Jack was already moving. His fingers flew across the control panel, bringing the ship's engines online and retracting the docking clamps. The Wandering Star shuddered as it lifted off from the moon's surface. He plotted a course out of the system, but even as he did, he knew it was too late. The approaching ship was faster, much faster. He pulled up the tactical display and studied the incoming vessel. It was small, built for speed and stealth. A hunter ship. And if the Empire had sent a hunter ship all the way out here just for him, then they were not planning to arrest him. They were planning to kill him. Jack took a deep breath and made a decision. He was not going to run. Not this time. If they wanted him dead, they would have to come aboard and do it themselves. And if they did that, well, he knew his ship better than anyone alive. The Wandering Star was his home, his territory. Let them come. He changed course, pointing the ship toward the outer edge of the system, then set the autopilot. He had work to do and not much time to do it. The Silent Fang matched velocity with the Wandering Star exactly 37 minutes after Jack Morrison changed course. Vexamora stood in the command center of the stealth ship, watching the human freighter on her tactical display. The ship was old, probably 50 years past its prime, with patches and repairs visible even from this distance. It did not look like the vessel of someone who had caused the Empire so much trouble. "Target is holding steady," reported one of her squad members, a Vorgath named Skell, who specialized in electronic warfare. "No weapons charging. No deviation from course. The airlock is open." Vexamora felt a twinge of suspicion. "Open, are you certain?" "Yes, Commander. The outer door is unsealed and unlocked. No security protocols active, that was wrong. No ship captain left their airlock open in deep space, especially not when an unknown vessel was approaching. It was either a trap or a surrender. Vexmora studied the data on her screen, looking for any sign of hidden weapons or defensive systems. She found nothing. "He is surrendering," said another squad member, a female named Jix who had cybernetic enhancements covering half her face. "The human knows he cannot escape. He is giving up." "Perhaps," Vexmora said slowly, "or perhaps he wants us to think that. Stay alert. This human has evaded Imperial forces for months. He did not do that by being stupid." She turned to the rest of her squad. "Full combat deployment. Assume hostile intent. 3 teams of 4. Team 1 sweeps the upper decks. Team 2 takes engineering and cargo. Team 3 secures the bridge. Kill on sight. No prisoners." The 12 assassins checked their weapons one final time. Each carried plasma rifles, molecular blades, and enough firepower to take down a small army. They moved to the airlock in perfect silence, their black armor blending with the shadows. The silent fang extended its docking tube and connected to the wandering star with a soft clang. Vexmora was the first through the airlock. Her visor scanned the corridor beyond, filtering through multiple light spectrums. Empty. The walls were lined with pipes and cables, typical of an old freighter. The air smelled of recycled oxygen and machine oil. She gestured for her squad to follow. Team 1 moved left toward the crew quarters and upper access passages. Team 2 went right toward the engineering section. Vexmora led Team 3 straight ahead toward the bridge. Their boots made no sound on the metal deck. They were ghosts, trained to kill without being seen or heard. The corridor opened into a junction with 3 paths. Vexmora consulted the ship's layout on her helmet display. The bridge should be straight ahead, up 1 level. She signaled her team to advance. They climbed a ladder to the next deck and emerged into another corridor. Still empty, still silent. "Commander," Skell's voice came through her helmet's communication system. "Team 2 has reached the cargo bay. No sign of the target. Multiple containers and equipment, but no life signs." "Team 1 reporting," came another voice. "Crew quarters are empty. Found personal effects and clothing. Signs of recent habitation, but the target is not here." Vexmora stopped at a sealed door marked as the bridge entrance. "All teams maintain your search patterns. The human is somewhere on this ship. He cannot hide forever." She placed her clawed hand on the door's control panel. The door slid open with a hiss. The bridge was small, designed for a crew of 3 or 4 at most. The captain's chair sat in the center, facing a large viewport showing the stars outside. Control panels lined the walls, displaying various ship systems. Everything was powered on and functioning normally, but there was no one there. "Bridge is clear," Vexmora reported. "No sign of the target. Beginning detailed search." She moved to the captain's chair and checked the console. The navigation system showed the ship was on a simple, straight-line course toward empty space. Life support was active throughout the vessel. The internal sensors showed no other life forms aboard except for her squad. It was as if Jack Morrison had simply vanished. Then the lights went out. Vexmora's helmet vision automatically switched to night vision, bathing everything in green light. "Report, all teams report status. Team 1, we have lost main lighting. Emergency systems only. Still no sign of target. Team 2, same situation. Cargo bay lights are out. We are proceeding with helmet illumination." Vexmora felt her earlier suspicion grow stronger. The human was playing games. He was somewhere on this ship watching them, waiting for something. "All teams, weapons ready. The target is using the darkness for cover. Stay together. Do not separate." The intercom system crackled to life. A human voice, calm and almost friendly, filled the bridge. "Hello there. I see you have made yourselves comfortable on my ship. That is polite of you to visit, but I am afraid I am going to have to ask you to leave." Vexmora spun toward the intercom speaker, raising her rifle. "Jack Morrison, you cannot escape. Surrender now and your death will be quick." There was a pause. Then Morrison laughed, a sound that made several of the assassins shift nervously. "You came all this way to kill me and you think I'm going to just give up?" "No, I do not think so. See, this is my ship. I know every bolt, every wire, every hidden space. You are in my territory now. You are 1 human against 12 of the Empire's finest warriors," Vexmora said coldly. "You cannot win this fight." "Maybe not," Morrison admitted. "But I do not have to win. I just have to make sure you do not win either. How about this? I will give you 1 chance to walk away. Go back to your ship, leave my vessel, and we can all forget this happened. Unacceptable. You have been marked for death by the Empire. We will complete our mission. Well, Morrison said, and Vexmora could hear the smile in his voice. I tried to be nice. Do not say I did not warn you. The intercom went silent. Vexmora waited, her rifle pointed at the door, every sense alert for an attack. Nothing happened. She signaled her team to move out and continue the search. As they left the bridge and entered the corridor, she heard a loud clang from somewhere below. Team 2, what was that noise? Skell's voice came back tense. Commander, one of our members just fell through a deck plate. The floor gave way beneath him. He has dropped into the lower engineering crawl space. Is he injured? Minor damage only. But the deck plate was rigged. Someone removed the support brackets. It was a trap. Before Vexmora could respond, another voice cut in. Team 1 reporting. We found the humans' quarters. We are searching for weapons or intelligence. Wait, there is something on the door. What is it? It appears to be a pressure sensor. I am attempting to disarm it. No! Vexmora shouted, but it was too late. She heard an explosion over the communication channel, followed by cursing in the Vorgath language. Team 1 report. We are alive, Commander, but barely. The pressure sensor triggered an explosive charge. Nothing lethal, but it released a cargo net across the corridor. We are tangled in it. The net has magnetic locks. It will take time to cut through. Vexmora felt anger building in her chest. The human was using tricks, traps, primitive devices that should not work against trained assassins. But they were working. Her squad was being split up, delayed, frustrated. Exactly what Morrison wanted. All teams regroup at the main cargo bay. We will search the ship together. No more splitting up. This human wants to pick us off one by one. We will not give him that chance. Team 3 made their way back through the corridors to the cargo bay. Team 1 was still cutting through the magnetic net. Team 2 was trying to help their fallen member out of the crawl space. It took 15 minutes for everyone to reach the cargo bay, and by then Vexmora knew they had lost the initiative. The cargo bay was large, filled with containers stacked 3 high. There were narrow passages between the stacks, creating a maze of potential hiding spots. Vexmora ordered her squad to form a defensive perimeter. She was done playing the humans' game. They would secure this area, then methodically search every section of the ship until they found Morrison. Commander, Jick said quietly, pointing to one of the containers. Look, Vexmora turned. On the side of a large cargo container, someone had written a message in white paint. It said, "You are in the wrong place." Before anyone could react, there was a loud hiss from above. Vexmora looked up just in time to see the ceiling panels open. A wave of white foam poured down from the vents, covering the squad in thick, sticky material. It was fire suppression foam designed to smother flames. It was not dangerous, but it was blinding and suffocating. The assassins struggled to clear the foam from their visors and helmets. Vexmora wiped her faceplate and activated her helmet's emergency air supply. Around her, the squad was doing the same, weapons raised, searching for targets. Morrison's voice came over the intercom again. That foam is non-toxic, by the way, but it is going to take you a while to clean off. I suggest you use that time to reconsider your career choices. Being an assassin for an evil empire is not a good look. Vexmora fired her plasma rifle at the intercom speaker, destroying it in a shower of sparks. She was breathing hard now, not from exertion but from anger. This human was mocking them, making fools of the Crimson 12. It was unacceptable. Find him, she ordered. Tear this ship apart if you have to. Find the human and end this. Somewhere in the walls of the Wandering Star, Jack Morrison sat in a narrow maintenance shaft and listened to the sounds of the assassins searching for him. Jack Morrison crawled through the narrow maintenance shaft, his tablet showing the positions of all 12 assassins. They were searching the cargo bay methodically now, checking every container and corner. Good. That would keep them busy for a while. He needed to even the odds before they figured out his pattern. The maintenance shaft ran the entire length of the ship, parallel to the main corridors. It was barely wide enough for a human to fit through, designed for repairs and emergency access. Jack had spent countless hours in these shafts over the years, fixing problems and updating systems. He knew every turn, every junction, every access panel. He reached a vertical shaft and climbed down carefully, his hands finding holds without needing to look. Below him was the engineering section, where the ship's main power systems and life support were located. According to his tablet, Two of the assassins had moved there, searching for him among the machinery. Jack reached the bottom of the shaft and paused, listening. He could hear the soft footsteps of the aliens moving through the engineering bay. They were being careful now, weapons ready, expecting an ambush. He smiled. They were thinking like soldiers. But this was not a battle. It was a chess game, and he was always 3 moves ahead. He opened an access panel slowly, creating just enough gap to see through. The 2 assassins were across the room, their backs to him, examining the reactor controls. Perfect. Jack reached into his tool belt and pulled out a small device, about the size of a fist. It was a portable EMP generator, something he had built from spare parts to deal with malfunctioning equipment. It would not hurt the assassins, but it would definitely get their attention. He set the timer for 10 seconds, tossed the device into the engineering bay, and closed the access panel. Then he climbed back up the shaft as fast as he could. He was halfway up when he heard the EMP go off. The lights in the engineering section flickered and died. The reactor went into emergency shutdown mode, and alarm klaxons started blaring throughout the ship. Jack heard cursing in an alien language below him. He kept climbing, heading toward the upper decks. The EMP would only affect the local systems, and the ship's automatic protocols would restart the reactor in about 5 minutes. But 5 minutes was all he needed. The intercom near his position crackled to life. It was Vexmora, the leader of the assassins. Her voice was tight with barely controlled anger. "Human, these games you play are pointless. You are delaying the inevitable. We will find you, and we will complete our mission." Jack stopped climbing and opened a panel to access the intercom system. He pressed the transmit button. "You know, you keep saying that, but I am not seeing a lot of progress on your end. How many of your squad have you lost track of now? 3, 4? We have lost no one. Your tricks are annoying, nothing more." "Sure," Jack said. "Keep telling yourself that. But while you were standing around talking to me, where are your people? Can you see all of them right now? Are you certain they are all okay?" There was a pause. Jack knew he had planted a seed of doubt. He pressed the advantage. "See, the thing about having a big squad is that it is hard to keep track of everyone, especially when they are spread out through an unfamiliar ship, in the dark, dealing with malfunctioning equipment. Accidents can happen so easily." He released the transmit button and kept moving. The psychological game was just as important as the physical one. Keep them off balance. Keep them worried. Make them make mistakes. Jack reached the crew quarters section and slipped out of the maintenance shaft. This area was familiar territory. He had lived here for years. He knew which deck plates creaked, which doors stuck slightly, which lights flickered. He moved through the narrow corridor and stopped at a storage closet. Inside the closet was his backup plan. A pressure suit, a portable oxygen tank, some emergency supplies, and a plasma cutter. He grabbed the cutter and checked its charge. Full. Good. He was going to need it for what came next. His tablet beeped softly. The camera feeds showed that the assassins in engineering had managed to restart the reactor. Lights were coming back on throughout the ship. The squad was regrouping again, forming up in a tighter formation. They were learning. That was a problem. Jack moved to the end of the corridor where a ladder led down to the lower deck. According to his tablet, Team 1 was directly below him, searching through the crew sleeping quarters. 4 assassins moving slowly, checking every room. He waited until they were all inside the quarters section. Then he moved. There was an emergency bulkhead door at the entrance to the sleeping quarters, designed to seal off sections of the ship in case of fire or hull breach. Jack accessed the control panel and entered his override code. The heavy door slammed shut with a bang, sealing the 4 assassins inside. Immediately, he heard shouts and weapons fire. They were trying to blast through the door, but it was made of reinforced steel, designed to withstand explosive decompression. It would hold. He had just removed a third of their force from the equation. He spoke into the intercom again. "That door will open in about 2 hours when the automatic timer resets. Your friends will be fine until then. They have air and water. Consider it a timeout. Maybe they can use the time to think about their life choices." Vexmora's voice came back immediately, filled with rage. "You will die slowly for this, human. I will personally ensure your death is as painful as possible." "Promises, promises," Jack said. He was already moving again, heading back toward the cargo bay. 8 assassins left. Still bad odds, but getting better. The cargo bay was where he had stored most of his traps and surprises. It was also the largest open space on the ship, which meant it was dangerous for him. No narrow corridors to hide in, no maintenance shafts to escape through. But it was also where the assassins would expect him to avoid. Sometimes the best hiding place was the most obvious one. Jack entered the cargo bay through a side entrance, staying low behind a stack of containers. He could see 5 assassins spread throughout the space, their weapons sweeping the area systematically. They were good, professional. If this was a fair fight, he would already be dead, but Jack Morrison had never believed in fair fights. He pulled out the plasma cutter and carefully burned through the support cable holding one of the cargo containers, suspended from the ceiling. The cable was under tension, and when it snapped, the container would swing like a pendulum. He cut through most of the cable, leaving just a few strands intact, then moved to a different position. From his new spot, he had a clear view of the walking pattern of one of the assassins. The alien was moving between 2 rows of containers, checking each one carefully. Patient, methodical, exactly where Jack needed him to be. Jack picked up a small piece of metal and threw it across the bay. It clanged loudly against a far wall. The assassin immediately turned toward the sound, raising his weapon. The other 4 assassins converged on the location. Perfect. Jack cut the last strands of the cable. The cargo container swung down in a wide arc, slamming into 2 of the assassins and sending them flying. They crashed into a stack of smaller containers with bone-crushing force. The other 3 assassins spun around, trying to locate the source of the attack. Jack was already moving, running along the top of a container row, keeping low. He reached the far end of the bay and dropped down into a narrow space between 2 large crates. His tablet showed that the 2 assassins hit by the swinging container were down but alive. Their armor had protected them from serious injury, but they would be hurting for a while. 6 against 1 now. He was making progress. The intercom crackled. This time it was not Vex Mora. It was a different voice, male, speaking in accented English. Human. This is Skell. I am the technical expert of this squad. I want you to know that I have been analyzing your tactics. You are skilled, I will admit that. But you are also running out of tricks. We have learned your patterns. We know how you think. This game ends soon. Jack considered not responding, but his ego got the better of him. You think you have figured me out? That is cute. Tell me something, Skell. Have you checked your suit's air supply recently? There was a pause. Then Skell's voice came back, less confident. What do you mean? I mean, when you boarded my ship, you walked through that open airlock. And when you did, you passed through a light chemical mist. Colorless, odorless, completely harmless to humans. But for Vorgath biology, it degrades the seals on your armor. Slowly, very slowly. You probably have not noticed it yet. But in about 30 minutes, your suits are going to start leaking air. Not fast enough to kill you, just fast enough to make you very uncomfortable. This was a complete lie. Jack had not done anything to their suits. But he knew how to plant doubt, and doubt was its own kind of weapon. He heard Vex Mora's voice cut in. He is lying. There is no chemical. He is trying to break our focus. Ignore him. Are you sure about that? Jack asked. Because the thing about space travel is that even a small leak can become a big problem. And you are a long way from your ship. How long can those suits of yours last if the seals are compromised? 2 hours? 3? Maybe you should check. Just to be safe, more silence. Jack could imagine the assassins examining their suits, checking readouts, second-guessing themselves. Good. Let them worry. Let them waste time and attention on things that did not matter. Jack Morrison sat at the bridge console, his fingers moving rapidly across the keyboard. The Silent Fang was still docked to his airlock, its systems running on standby mode. Getting into those systems would not be easy. The Vorgath Empire had good security protocols. But Jack had spent years dealing with Imperial technology, and he had learned a few things. The first rule of hacking was to find the weakest point. In this case, it was the docking clamp connection. When 2 ships docked, they shared certain basic systems like power transfer and communication protocols. Jack could not access the main computer through that connection, but he could access the peripheral systems, environmental controls, backup sensors, and most importantly, the airlock mechanisms. He wrote a quick program to exploit a known vulnerability in Vorgath airlock software. It was a simple buffer overflow, the kind of thing that should have been patched years ago. But military ships rarely updated their software unless forced to. Too much risk of introducing new bugs during critical operations. The program ran. Jack held his breath. Then the screen showed a success message. He was in the Silent Fang's secondary systems. Not full access, but enough. He smiled and started typing new commands. Down in the cargo bay, Vexmora was losing patience. 2 of her squad members were trapped behind a sealed bulkhead door. 2 more were injured from the swinging cargo container. 1 had fallen into a crawl space earlier and was just now climbing back out. That left her with 5 operational members, including herself, and they still had not located the human. "Commander," Jick said quietly, standing next to her, "we should consider returning to the Silent Fang and calling for reinforcements. This mission has become compromised." Vexmora turned her helmet toward Jick's. Her 4 eyes narrowed behind the visor. "We are the Crimson 12. We do not fail missions. We do not call for help. We complete the objective no matter the cost. But Commander, the human has shown unusual tactical ability. Perhaps we underestimated him. Then we adapt, we learn, we overcome." Vexmora activated the communication channel to reach all her remaining squad members. "All units converge on the bridge. The human has been using the ship's systems against us. He must have access to the main computer. We end this now. Full assault. No hesitation." The 6 assassins moved through the corridors toward the bridge. They moved as a unit now, weapons ready, checking every corner. No more splitting up. No more giving the human opportunities to pick them off one by one. They would overwhelm him with force and numbers. They reached the bridge corridor and stacked up on either side of the door. Vexmora signaled for Skell to check for traps. The technical specialist scanned the door frame with his equipment, looking for pressure plates, tripwires, anything suspicious. He found nothing. "Clear, Commander," Vexmora nodded. "Jix, breach the door." Jix stepped forward and placed a small charge on the door's control panel. The charge detonated with a sharp crack, destroying the lock mechanism. The door slid open. The assassins poured through, weapons raised, ready to fire. The bridge was empty. The captain's chair sat vacant. The control panels showed normal operations. No sign of Jack Morrison. "Search every corner," Vexmora ordered. "Check the ceiling panels. The floor, everything." The assassins spread through the small bridge space looking for hidden compartments or access points. Skell went to the main console and started examining the command logs. "Commander, the human was here recently. The navigation system has been accessed within the last 5 minutes. He has changed our course." "Changed it to what?" "We are heading toward the outer system, away from the supply depot. Our trajectory will take us past an asteroid field in approximately 30 minutes. Vexmora considered this information. An asteroid field meant potential hiding spots, debris, confusion. The human was planning something. "Can you override the navigation?" "Working on it." Skell's clawed fingers moved across the controls. Then he stopped. "Commander, there is a problem. The human has locked out the navigation controls. I can access them, but it will take time to break through his encryption." Before Vexmora could respond, the lights on the bridge began to flicker. Then they went out completely, replaced by emergency red lighting. The main view screen switched from showing space to showing a camera feed from inside the ship. It showed Jack Morrison, wearing a pressure suit and carrying a plasma cutter. He was in the airlock, standing next to the docking tube that connected the Wandering Star to the Silent Fang. Jack looked directly into the camera and smiled. "Hello again. I hope you are comfortable up there on my bridge. I wanted to let you know that I have been doing some thinking about our situation. You came here to kill me. That is not very friendly. So I decided to visit your ship instead. Fair is fair, right?" Vexmora felt a cold sensation in her chest. "Stop him. Someone get to the airlock now." But even as she gave the order, she knew it was too late. On the screen, Jack activated the plasma cutter and began cutting through the docking clamp supports. Sparks flew as the cutter bit into metal. "The thing about docking clamps," Jack said conversationally, "is that they are designed to hold 2 ships together during normal operations. But they are not designed to handle stress from multiple angles, especially when someone cuts through the support struts." Skell was already running for the door, 2 other assassins behind him, but the bridge door suddenly sealed shut, the lock engaging with a solid thunk. Skell tried to override it. The panel sparked and went dead. On the screen, Jack had finished cutting through the last support strut. The docking tube began to shift, metal groaning under the unbalanced load. Now, normally, when a docking tube detaches in space, it is a controlled procedure. Nice and slow, safe, but this is not going to be one of those times. So I suggest you hold on to something. The docking tube tore away from the wandering star with a violent jerk. On the bridge, the assassins grabbed onto consoles and railings as the ship shuddered from the impact. Alarms started blaring. The main computer announced in a calm voice, "Warning. Docking clamp failure. Warning. Airlock seal compromised." Vex Mora pulled herself to the navigation console. Through the view screen, she could see the wandering star beginning to drift away. Jack Morrison was still visible in the airlock, and he gave a casual wave before sealing the inner door. "Good luck getting home." His voice came through the communication system. "I am sure you will figure something out. You are elite assassins, after all." The communication cut off. The Silent Fang's engines were offline, damaged from the sudden separation. The ship was adrift, slowly tumbling as it lost attitude control. Vex Mora accessed the damage reports flowing across her helmet display. The docking clamp was destroyed. The airlock was vented to space, and worst of all, the main computer showed that someone had accessed their secure systems while they were distracted. "Skell, tell me we still have control of our own ship." The technical specialist was already working, his fingers flying across the console. His voice came back tense. "Checking now, Commander." The human did access our systems through the docking connection. He downloaded our mission database, our intelligence files, our operational protocols, everything. "Can we secure the system?"
Lock him out?
"I am trying, but he left behind some kind of worm program. It is spreading through our computers. It is not destroying anything, just copying data and transmitting it somewhere. I think he is sending our information to the rebel networks." Vex Mora slammed her fist on the console. Years of Imperial intelligence compromised by one human in a few minutes. This was a disaster. What about our own crew aboard this ship? The two who were trapped in the sealed quarters? "Still there, Commander. The door will not open for another hour. And the ones in the cargo bay who were injured? Also trapped. The human has sealed multiple sections of the ship. We are the only ones with free movement." Skell paused, checking more systems. "Commander, there is something else. The human left files on our computer. Medical supplies, coordinates, instructions." "What kind of instructions?" "Instructions for treating injuries. Locations where we can find emergency supplies aboard the Wandering Star." He also left a message. Vex Mora felt her anger grow to new levels. "Play it." Skell pressed a button. Jack Morrison's voice filled the bridge, sounding tired but satisfied. "If you are listening to this, then you have realized that I have access to your ship's systems. I could have done a lot worse than I did. I could have vented your atmosphere, shut down your life support, left you to drift in space until you ran out of air. But I am not going to do that." There was a pause. Then Jack continued. "I downloaded your mission files. I know why you came here. High Commander Zarthik sent you to kill me and make an example, to show the rebels what happens when you defy the Empire. Well, I have news for your commander. The example has been made, just not the one he wanted." Another pause. "I am sending you back to the Empire. Your ship is damaged but functional. You have enough power to reach the nearest Imperial station. Your injured squad members will be fine. I left medical supplies where you will find them, and I left my own message for Zarthik. Make sure he sees it." The recording ended. Vex Mora stood in silence, processing what had happened. They had been defeated, completely, thoroughly, by one human who had refused to fight fair. The Silent Fang limped into Imperial space 48 hours after the failed mission. The stealth ship's elegant lines were marred by damage from the violent docking clamp separation. Scorch marks ran along the hull where emergency venting had burned away paint and sealant. The ship moved slowly, conserving power, its engines operating at barely 30% capacity. On the bridge, Vex Mora sat in the command chair and watched the main Imperial station grow larger on the view screen. It was a massive structure, a ring of metal and lights orbiting a barren moon. Dozens of warships were docked at its ports. Thousands of personnel moved through its corridors. This was the heart of the Empire's military power in this sector. And Vex Mora was about to report the Crimson 12's first failure. "Incoming transmission from Station Command." Skell reported from the communication station. "They are requesting our identification and mission status. Send them our access codes. Tell them we need immediate docking clearance and medical assistance for injured personnel." The transmission went out. A moment later, the response came back. "Silent Fang, you are cleared for emergency docking at Bay 7. Medical teams are standing by. Station Command also informs you that High Commander Zarthik is requesting your immediate presence upon arrival. Vexamora had expected that. She took a deep breath and stood up from the command chair. Around her, the remaining members of her squad prepared for docking. They moved with mechanical efficiency, but their usual confidence was gone. They had been humiliated, and everyone aboard the ship knew it. The docking procedure took 20 minutes. When the airlock finally opened, medical teams rushed in to help the injured assassins. Vexamora watched as her squad members were carried away on stretchers. None of the injuries were life-threatening, thanks to the medical supplies Jack Morrison had left for them. That fact somehow made the defeat worse. The human had beaten them and then shown mercy. It was the ultimate insult. A junior officer approached Vexamora and saluted. "Commander, High Commander Zarthik is waiting for you in the operations center. He requests you come alone." "Understood." Vexamora removed her helmet and handed it to Skell. "Take care of the ship. I will handle the debriefing." She followed the junior officer through the station's corridors. Personnel stepped aside to let her pass, their eyes following her with expressions of curiosity and pity. Word had already spread. The Crimson 12 had failed. The news traveled fast in military circles. The operations center was a large room filled with holographic displays and tactical consoles. At its center stood High Commander Zarthik, his massive form silhouetted against a large view screen showing star maps and fleet positions. He did not turn around when Vexamora entered. "Commander Vexamora," he said, his voice a low rumble. "I understand your mission did not proceed as planned." "That is correct, High Commander. We encountered unexpected resistance." Unexpected resistance. Zarthik finally turned to face her, his four eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made even the seasoned assassin want to step back. "You were 12 of the Empire's finest warriors, equipped with the best weapons and armor, sent to eliminate one human cargo hauler. How exactly did that become an unexpected situation?" Vexamora kept her voice steady. "The target, Jack Morrison, proved to be more tactically skilled than our intelligence suggested. He used his knowledge of his own ship to create an environment where our superior combat abilities were negated. He employed traps, psychological warfare, and misdirection to separate and disable my squad members. He defeated you without killing any of you," Zarthik stated. "He showed mercy." "Yes, High Commander. That is even worse than if he had killed you all." Zarthik moved closer, his clawed feet clicking on the metal floor. "Do you understand why? Because mercy implies that he did not see you as a threat. He toyed with you, made fools of you, and now that story will spread through every rebel colony, every underground network, every corner of this sector. The Empire sent its best and a human sent them home with their tails between their legs." Vexamora said nothing. There was nothing to say. Everything Zarthik said was true. The High Commander turned back to the view screen. "However, it appears the human left something for me. A message. Your technical specialist found it in your ship's computer systems. Have you watched it?" "No, High Commander. I thought it appropriate for you to see it first." "How considerate." Zarthik pressed a button on his console. "Let us watch it together." The view screen changed to show a recording. Jack Morrison sat in the captain's chair of the Wandering Star, looking tired but calm. He stared directly into the camera, and when he spoke, his voice was clear and firm. "High Commander Zarthik, my name is Jack Morrison, though I suspect you already know that. Your assassins told me you sent them to kill me and make an example, to show the rebels what happens when they defy the Empire. Well, I am sending them back to you with my own message." Jack leaned forward slightly. "I did not kill your assassins because that is not who humans are. We fight when we have to. We defend what we believe in, but we do not kill just to kill. We are not like the Empire. We do not crush people just because they want to be free." He paused as if gathering his thoughts. "The rebels you are trying to destroy are not terrorists or criminals. They are farmers, doctors, teachers, parents. They are people who just want to live their lives without the Empire controlling every aspect of their existence. They want freedom. And I'm going to keep helping them achieve that freedom no matter how many assassins you send." Jack's expression grew harder. "But I want to be very clear about something. If you keep sending threats, keep sending warships, keep trying to kill people who just want to live in peace, you are going to find out exactly how dangerous humans can be, not because we are better warriors than you. We are not. But because we refuse to give up. We learn, we adapt, We turn every disadvantage into an advantage, and we never ever stop fighting for what we believe is right. He reached forward and pressed something off-screen. As a demonstration of that, I am including the coordinates of 3 hidden weapons depots that I found in your assassin's database. Consider it a gift to the rebellion. Also consider it a warning. Your secrets are not as safe as you think they are. Jack Morrison sat back in his chair. You can come after me again if you want. Send more assassins. Send warships. Send whatever you like. But know this. Every time you try, I will be ready. And every time I will send your people home alive to tell you that humans cannot be intimidated, cannot be controlled, cannot be broken. The recording ended. The view screen returned to showing star maps. High Commander Zarthik stood motionless, staring at the display. Vexmora waited, unsure what to say. Finally, Zarthik spoke. The weapons depots he mentioned. Have they been checked? Yes, High Commander, another officer reported from across the room. All 3 locations have been compromised. Rebel forces hit them within hours of receiving the coordinates. We lost significant material. Zarthik's expression did not change. How did one human access our secure intelligence network? We are still investigating, but it appears he exploited vulnerabilities in our docking interface protocols. He gained access while his ship was connected to the Silent Fang. The High Commander turned to Vexmora. Your assessment. Can this human be eliminated through conventional means? Vexmora considered the question carefully. Not easily, High Commander. He is not a conventional target. He does not think like a soldier. He thinks like a survivor. He uses unconventional tactics and turns his environment into a weapon. Sending more assassins would likely result in more failures. Sending warships would make him into a martyr for the rebellion. So what do you suggest? I suggest we reconsider our approach to the entire rebellion. Jack Morrison is one human, but he represents something larger, a refusal to be controlled, an unwillingness to accept imperial authority. If we continue to push, we will create more Jack Morrisons, dozens of them, hundreds, and then the problem becomes much larger than one cargo hauler running supplies. Zarthik was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Your honesty is appreciated, Commander, even if it is not what I wanted to hear. He turned to face the assembled officers in the operations center. Prepare a full report for the Emperor. Include the mission failure, the human's message, and our strategic assessment. The Emperor will decide how to proceed. He looked back at Vexmora. You and your squad are dismissed from active duty for the next 3 months. Rest, recover, learn from this experience. The Crimson 12 remains an elite unit, but this failure will be recorded in your history. Let it serve as a reminder that overconfidence is as dangerous as any enemy. Yes, High Commander. Vexmora saluted and turned to leave. One more thing. Commander. She stopped and looked back. Zarthik's expression was unreadable. The human showed you mercy when he could have killed you. Remember that. Not all enemies are evil. Some are simply fighting for what they believe in, just as we fight for the Empire. That does not make them less dangerous, but it does make them more worthy of respect. Vexmora nodded and left the operations center. She walked through the station's corridors, her mind replaying the events aboard the Wandering Star. Jack Morrison had defeated them not through strength, but through intelligence and determination. He had proven that humans were more than the Empire had believed. More dangerous, more adaptable, more worthy of caution, across the galaxy. In the depths of space, the Wandering Star moved silently through the darkness. Jack Morrison sat in his captain's chair, running his hand through his hair. He was exhausted, running on coffee and adrenaline for the past 2 days. But he was alive. And more importantly, the rebellion had new weapons and supplies from the captured depots. His communication console beeped. He answered it. Linda Hayes appeared on the screen, her face showing relief and joy. Jack, we heard what happened. The supplies from those depots have already been distributed. You saved lives today. Probably thousands of them. Jack smiled tiredly. Just doing my job, Linda. How are the kids? They are good. Healthy, thanks to the medical supplies you brought last month. Jack, you are a hero to these people. You know that, right? I am not a hero. I am just a guy with a ship who does not like bullies. Linda laughed. Well, this galaxy needs more guys like you. Her expression grew serious. But Jack, be careful. The Empire will not forget this. They will come after you again. Let them come, Jack said quietly. I will be ready. He ended the transmission and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Empire was planning its next move. And somewhere out there, other humans like him were probably doing the same thing he was, running supplies, helping rebels, standing up to tyranny. Jack Morrison did not know if they would win. The Empire was huge, powerful, ancient. But humans had something the Empire did not understand. They had hope. They had stubbornness. They had the absolute conviction that freedom was worth fighting for, no matter the cost. He set a new course for the next rebel colony and engaged the engines. The wandering star jumped to faster than light speed, leaving only empty space behind. And in the captain's chair, Jack Morrison allowed himself a small smile. The Empire had sent 12 elite assassins. He had sent them back alive. And in doing so, he had sent a message that would echo through the galaxy for years to come. Humans could not be broken, could not be controlled, could not be stopped. The legend of the Ghost Runner grew with each retelling, and the Empire learned a lesson that other species had learned before them, that the most dangerous enemy was not the strongest or the fastest, but the one who refused to give up no matter what. And humans, more than any other species, had made refusing to give up into an art form.